We've talked a lot on this channel before about the decarbonisation of the steel industry and really how if the government was actually serious, and I mean actually genuinely serious about levelling up the country and making sure that these areas were, lifted up and caught up with, other areas, more affluent areas of the country in terms of like GDP, then this is practically a no-brainer. Now, of course, the decarbonisation is going to take a lot of money and is not going to be done something in a very short time. I think estimates are about 25 to 30 years. So this is a long-term strategy. It is definitely a long-term strategy, but even though you would have to put, I think, I can't remember the exact number you would have to put in now, but it is in the billions and it is a fair chunk of change, let's say that. The benefits of doing that far outweigh the costs. Not only will it contribute greatly to the net zero achievements, it guarantees the jobs in the current steel locations, again, here in the north, here in Wales. It provides jobs. It can provide even more jobs if you, again, pursue this plan. But as we've said before, the idea of having a comprehensive and single industrial strategy is completely a foreign concept, especially to this Tory government, who seem to just do not care about manufacturing at all in the UK. So let's take a look at what unfortunately could be very much happening soon to Hartlepool. Again, a location that has just voted in a Tory MP who, again, doesn't seem to be all that too in favour of, shall we say, helping her biggest area of manufacturing in her constituency. So before we do that, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel. And on with the show. So this comes from the Northeast Byline to the title of Taking a Liberty with Hartlepool's Steelworks. This morning, the night shift clocked out of the long green sheds of Hartlepool's steel pipe mills on the south end of town, wondering if they would ever clock back in again next week. In the Hartlepool plant, the works and its origins go back to the 1860s, and about 300 direct jobs are now at risk, with some 300,000 jobs in the rest of the UK. The HMRC Custom Revenues filed a winding up order against large parts of the Liberty Steel Group. HMRC did file a petition at the High Court earlier this week to wind up the company's special steels division based in Rotherham, but is also interconnected are the financial interlinkings in the company that all plants are now potentially at risk. This includes the Hartlepool Pipe Mills and the smaller but strategically more important powder metals groups and the applications on South Teesside. So this is going to largely affect the north. Very, very much. And again, if the government was actually serious, like genuinely serious about leveling up the country, they'd be stepping in to stop this. The HMRC action is also merely the latest but potential fatal blow to a company which has been thrown into complete financial crisis not only during the pandemic, when its controversial main lender, the Greensill Capital, advised by the well-remunerated former Prime Minister David Cameron, went bust. It is difficult to explain in layman's terms how the Byzantine financial engineering which underpinned the Liberty House Group was set up to tightly controlled by its founder, Savage Gupta, I think that's how you say it. He, along with Lex Greensill, the now dissolved Greensill Capital, were indeed at the heart of this financial web of complex dealings based on brokerage and risk factoring of the firm's supply chain, cash owed to suppliers, and receipts for sales. The links I've provided will give at least a taste of that. These were men and Liberty's board who, one exception, looked to be the preening alpha males, accustomed to being photographed at the deals except for a phone or a portrait in sharp-suited profile against the glass curtain of a very high wall of the City of London Docklands or skyscraper. Not very often did we get the shots of the hot and noisy environment of the pipe rolling mill or even the profile cutter in the long shed. Almost all the activities of Liberty Steel are strategically important, and the Hartlepool Pipe Mills is the only UK supplier of the large diameter carbon steel pipe used in oil and chemical industries, which is thick, tensile, and robust enough to withstand extremes of compression either in the depths or in the world oceans or deep underground, but which can be laid in a continuous fashion by pipe laying craft. The lesser known Powder Steels plant in Grangeton is at the heart of what was once called the Old British Steel Laboratories in Grangeton in east of Middlesbrough. The powder metallurgy based on steel and iron and other metals is the cutting edge development of which marks the millennial move away from the steeling of iron and steel as a bulk product towards the tooling and shaping of ultra hard components from 3D modeling, which has the applications to see such things as nuclear reactors, medical applications, and even the manufacturing of high temperature components in jet turbines. Indeed, so important was the powder steel activity scene was that it launched a raft of supported finances from the national and local taxpayer of nearly over £10 million in startup costs back in 2018, and only about 4 million of that came from the company, with at least 4.6 million in the shape of a 1 million grant and 3.6 million loan coming from the Tees Valley Mayor Ben Houchison and the Tees Combined Authority, with the balance being underwritten by the government's CAFTAS programme for R&D startups. All this is now at risk, and neither Liberty Steel nor HMRC has actually disclosed how much the tax has gone unpaid. There are understood to be portions of the winding up orders for parts of the Gupta Empire. And to add up to the woes, the credit suers are now chasing seemingly lost investments made into the Gupta Group in Europe. And here, even auditing of the groups are under suspicion, with the accounting watchdog and the Financial Reporting Council confirming that it was investigating the audit of Liberty Commodities 2020 accounts, which was carried away and on by H.W. Fisher LLP, a large commercial accountancy firm based in the new low-rise office block, discreetly nestled between the White Circos terraces of London's Regency Park. The press reports say this: HMRC was winding up petitions against the Specialty Steel UK Pipes Lids in Hartlepool, the Liberty Performance Steels, West Bromwich, and Liberty Merchant Bar, Rotherham and Wednesbury, which together collectively owe £26.4 million. They also say that if Liberty Groups targeted go into liquidation following the changes of the court orders, the government will need to decide whether to appoint a new official reviewer to buy time while it attempts to find another buyer. Of course, they could always nationalise it, but hey, we can't think about such things. Of course, Hartlepool's pipe mills were once crucially important to be the man at the top. Visiting them on the town just last year, Boris Johnson even said the Gupta steel businesses were a long-term strategic importance to Britain. But then that was at a by-election, and then there was on, and that is now long gone. The steel unions are also pleading to the government to come to the table to talk with Gupta and co. But what could the agenda be, given that Kersey Quitang has ruled out nationalisation? Still, if there's the other and N word that Quitang will not utter, then I would suggest a far more vanilla flavoured approach. Do a debt for equity swap. Take control of the new appointment directors and the new Phoenix company, and both private and vital strategic industry for the UK, and help keep those UK jobs alive on Teesside and elsewhere. Again, there are ways that the government can do this. There is stuff that Kersey Quitang could do, but not, go for the full dreaded nationalisation word. There is stuff that he could do, and we've talked about this before, but the government just isn't interested in this, because that would mean having a long-term strategic industrial plan for manufacturing in this country. But then you would actually have to have a serious go at levelling up the country. And bearing in mind, this steel plant and these steel plants that are hugely important to the UK, if these go under, this goes to show you just how pathetic the whole idea and how uncommitted they really were to levelling up the country. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a donation link called Buy Me Coffee down below. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you